Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me, as always, was Pop and Rick.
What's up?
That was a very fun weekend of football.
There
wasn't one game that was on. I think that was the Packers game on at 8. Or was that a 6 o'clock game too?
No, Packers was an 8 o'clock.
Okay, all right. I came out of the weekend where, like, you know, the football game for the Chiefs and the Bills was insane, but that ended at like 10, so it wasn't like super late. But I'm still exhausted, and I'm not really sure why. Like, you get through a whole weekend of watching football on a normal day, and like you're up till 12 o'clock at night.
Right, and then the Monday is just tough.
Yeah. But it is bittersweet. It was a great weekend of football. Lots of really awesome games. But there's only 3 football games left in the whole year. I don't count the Pro Bowl, sorry.
That's actually really sad. There's only 3 games left.
And then we got to wait 7 months to watch another.
That is
6
so
if you...
sad.
Let's see. February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, 6 months. 6 months. And then
To
we
be
watch
honest,
a preseason game.
I don't know. I feel like Bengals Chiefs, I mean, maybe talking too soon here, but I feel like that's borderline already decided. And then Rams 49ers, yeah, that's a good game, but I feel like Rams Bucks is more of like a hype matchup. I don't know. Maybe it's just how the 49ers play. But
it should
we'll
be
see.
Rams Chiefs.
Should be Rams Chiefs, yeah. We'll see if that actually is.
Who has the best chance of upsetting?
Between the 49ers and the Bengals?
Yeah.
49ers,
Okay.
I think. Do you disagree?
Should I gamble on the Bengals?
What's the over-under? What's the super early over-under? Well, not over-under. What's the spread?
Hold on. Chiefs, Bengals, spread. You act like I am gambling all the time.
Oh, hold on.
I freaking sneezed.
I can pull it up on the actual sports book since you can't.
Would
I live
you?
in a
Yeah,
different
freaking help me out, would you? I live in a state where sports gambling is illegal, so I have to cross state lines to gamble.
I don't even know if it's so the early spread is Bengals +7. So I mean, it's a decent. They just have to keep it within a touchdown.
That's not
basically.
bad. I think.
Bad. I thought it would be like 8.
I don't know. Cincinnati has kind of been like a little bit shocking on the defensive side of the ball. I don't really take any solace in that because I really don't think the
they
best
played
defense,
the Raiders and Titans.
the best defense. Yeah, they played the Raiders and Titans, but the best defense in the NFL, arguably, besides maybe the Rams and the Bucks, just got torched by Mahomes. So the real question is, they did play a couple of weeks ago. The Bengals Chiefs, and the Bengals came out on top at home. So the question is, do the Bengals
Regular season.
Do the Bengals have enough to get over the top here against the Chiefs? I'm going to say no, but I'm rooting for the Bengals.
I love their upside. You know, they have Chase, a rookie.
If they beat
Higgins
KC,
is a young player, and if they can beat the Chiefs in Kansas City, then they can beat anybody.
Yeah, I agree. You go put them on a neutral field against the Rams or the 49ers.
The Chiefs is just so like, doesn't it feel like this is your kind of welcome to the NFL playoffs, Joe Burrow moment?
Definitely. And maybe Joe Burrow just rips his chubby out and
that's the hope.
he says, "I'm here."
Yeah, that'd be so lit if he throws like 5 touchdowns and wins.
Yeah, that would be freaking awesome. I love Joe Burrow, but I'm gonna say that's no. This will be like when Brady welcomes Mahomes into the NFL and the playoffs.
Yeah.
and was like,
True.
"Welcome to the playoffs."
That's sort of how I think
years.
it's gonna go down. It's like Brady Mahomes 2018.
Yeah. So we'll definitely see with that game. Rick is right. I think the 49ers have a really good shot of upsetting the Rams, a lot better shot of the Bengals upsetting the Chiefs. Because I think the Rams showed a little bit of who they are outside of Matt Stafford, and that is a bunch of choke bags.
A team that's not used to, I think, winning on a high scale. Ramsey.
No. It's
Odell.
funny because
aren't the guys that choked? It was Akers, kind of.
Ramsey gave up that touchdown.
Ramsey did
to Mike
choke,
Evans.
right? Yeah, he did choke, kind of.
Yeah, no, it was like that offense. Just Cam Akers had 2 fumbles. The snap over Matt Stafford's head.
That was
like
ridiculous.
They were doing everything to lose that game. It's like, oh my!
Do you think that's just like
Stafford
a Brady
threw that
thing,
dime to win?
Or is it them as chokers?
Say it again.
Was it a Brady effect, or is that just who they are?
Good question.
I guess we'll find out.
Good question. We'll find out.
I guess we'll find out.
But anyway, on today's episode of the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast, we got top free agent wide receivers, as you saw in the thumbnail of the headline on your podcast app. We're going to talk about some free agent wide receivers coming in this year. There's a lot of them. It's a better year than last year. I thought last year was good, but there's like 4 guys. This year there's like 7 or 8 or 9 different players that could be changing teams and setting up a new uniform. So we'll talk about some good fits, some places where they could go, what their fantasy outlook would look like on certain teams who need wide receivers. And we'll go through that. We'll try not to make it, the Patriots every single time, but we're Pats fans. And they all just clicked out.
I know, they're like...
We're suffering, too. We just got our freaking
Pats
doors blown off by Josh Allen. So
yeah, don't even bring it up.
But anyway, before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just type in the FF Champs. You can find us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platforms, please leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like, and comment down below anything really that you want. We got a comment this week. I thought it was actually kind of hilarious, so I wanted to highlight it.
Okay.
It was on last week's episode, and I don't even know how much of this episode this guy watched, but it said, "Bro, maybe you should get a job in the off season, or maybe all season." I agree. I agree.
It's kind of
That's
funny.
Fantastic.
It's a good comment.
Should I change my thumbs down on that to a thumbs up? Because that's actually kind of clutch.
It's kind of funny.
Like if more of you commented hate,
we do have jobs. By the way.
We do have
jobs,
yeah.
and I'm in school, and you're in school.
Yeah, I hate to say that I very much not should not be in school, but either way,
it is what it is.
So, we're going to talk about top free agent wide receivers, give you a little breakdown of what could or would happen in the offseason here as we approach that. So this is our first 2022 content episode. You ready to jump in, Rick?
Yeah.
All right. So lots of speculation circling around the number 1 guy on the market. He is probably going to get a mammoth contract, would be my guess. It's Devonte Adams. He is 29 years old. Is that correct?
Is he really 29? I think he is.
He's on the older side. So
I think he's 28, turning 29.
The question with Devonte Adams is, assuming either Aaron Rodgers retires or just outright leaves Green Bay to go somewhere else. There's a couple of questions I have. A, do you think Adams follows Rodgers? And B, if he doesn't, what do you think his chances of success outside of Rodgers would look like?
Can you repeat the question again? Sorry, I'm writing down a list for us for wide receiver teams.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry. That was my fault.
See, I'm not even going to remember what I asked. A, do you think Devonte Adams is going to follow Aaron Rodgers wherever he goes if he does end up not retiring and leaving Green Bay? Or if he does end up going to a different location to Aaron Rodgers, what do you think Adams would look like without Rodgers?
Okay, so I don't think he stays with Rodgers. The only way I see that happening is he goes to a team that has a ton of flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders are probably the most plausible one, but that would require them trading Derek Carr and complete retooling and everything. I just don't think it's very likely.
Mm-hmm.
And then to answer the second part of the question, kind of depends where he goes. I think if he lands in a good situation, let's say right now the rumored spot would be the Raiders because he's friends with Derek Carr and all that stuff. If he goes to the Raiders and kind of plays like the favorite target, I still think he's going to be very good. Derek Carr is going to, force him the ball. Like he's going to get a lot of targets still. He's not going to be the wide receiver 1 in fantasy anymore. Probably not even top 3, but he's going to be in like that 5 to 10 range and will still be like a very good wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
But it's going to depend where he goes. I don't think he's going to go in a situation that's going to put him in a bad spot though. So I think at worst, he's still going to be a top 10 receiver in fantasy.
Yeah.
Maybe low end though.
I agree. The Raiders are a good spot.
They are a good spot.
Miami is also a rumored team, according to Bleacher Report.
Miami, really?
Miami and then Chicago.
Interesting. So I have a list of, according to CBS Sports, teams that need wide receivers.
Oh, good.
There's a decent amount of teams on this list, though. There's like 12 teams.
Good. Patriots, how close?
Patriots are on the list. It's not. It doesn't go by order.
Oh, okay.
It's just team needs, and then like if they had receiver. The Lions, Jaguars, Vikings, Falcons, Browns, Eagles, Saints, Chargers, Patriots, Raiders, Packers, Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers is based on if they lose. Same with the Packers and Raiders and Chargers if they lose some guys.
Yeah.
But the teams that like definitely need it, like the Saints, the Patriots, the Falcons, the Lions are teams that the Browns.
Yeah, especially if. Yeah, those are good. All good landing spots.
If Adams goes to, he's not going to the Lions.
Or all.
Let's say he goes to the Lions.
Not good landing spots.
Not a good landing spot.
Not a good landing spot.
Jaguars. That's kind of not a good landing spot, but it's so interesting because if Lawrence actually turns out to be good, then it could be a good landing spot.
I think the problem with the Jags is that they're too far off.
Yeah, they are.
They're probably not ready yet.
They could, in theory, though. I mean, we said that about the Bengals this year, and then they switched it overnight. I
actually think because another guy that's on this list, I'm going to assume is leaving. Chicago is definitely interesting. And the reason why I say that is because they have a decent defense. They're going to get a better coach in here. Justin Fields is going to start all next year in his second year. Hopefully have some improvement. That. And if they can do what they did for Burrow, what the Bengals did for Burrow, and get like a Jamar Chase, which would be Devonte Adams, it gives a safety blanket to Justin Fields.
I like that a lot. I don't know, and that would be a great storyline too, going to the rival, going from the Packers to the Bears. I don't know if it would happen, but I would love that. What do you think of maybe one last team? The Chargers. If the Chargers let a wide receiver walk, who goes with Herbert? That'd be sexy to me.
That would be very good. Yeah, I would love that. Now, I think we need to, just on the Devonte Adams level, because we got a lot of wide receivers to talk about, so we got to move on. But on the Devonte Adams level, I think I'm going to start. I love Adams, and I think he's great. If he stays with Rodgers, I think he's still that top 3 receiver that we
top 2 probably.
He stays. Somehow they keep Rodgers and Adams in Green Bay for another year. I don't think that will happen, or maybe he follows Rodgers to like Denver, which is I
don't know how they would.
I don't know how they would do that, but you know what I mean. Like anyway, so you have the situation where Devonte Adams is also 29 years old and he's getting older. I'm gonna say changing landing spots, being a little bit older, unless he goes somewhere where he's gonna be with an elite quarterback. which I don't think the Chiefs have the ability to bring him in, and I don't think the Bills have the ability to bring him in.
No.
I don't think the Rams have the ability to bring him in.
No.
So like these some of these teams are the top teams in the league with already a lot of weapons. So he's going to have to go somewhere that has cap space. He's going to have to go somewhere that like Rick said, the Raiders or Chicago, somewhere where it'll fit and it'll work. I think because of his age and the fact that he's changing teams this late in his career, I don't know how many top 3 wide receiver seasons he has left, and I don't know that depending on what happens in the offseason, I don't know if I'm going to rank him in my top 3.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to either. But it does depend on the offseason.
It's about that time.
Pretty much, honestly, any team he goes to, I'm probably not going to rank him in the top 3. He would have to stay with the Packers when they do that.
Okay. The second guy is a young man by the name of Chris Godwin, and I love PFF. This little article that I found, it gives you some numbers and ratings on him. But he is projected to get a 4-year, $17.5 million average contract. He is coming off a significant injury, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
The rumors are. God, the Raiders are a part of a lot of these rumors. Yikes! But anyway, who do you think he has a chance of going to, or does he stay with Tampa? Which
I don't think he stays with Tampa at this point. Especially
if Brady says he comes back, do you think that changes or?
Sure, I think that might change if Brady's 100% back. But even so, Tampa's franchise tagged him. It doesn't seem like they have a great thing working out in terms of negotiations. And Godwin has won a Super Bowl. I don't know if he's just like trying to go to a great team and everything. Like, I feel like he's the type of player that could just take a big contract. If a team's going to offer him like around $18 million a year, like I don't know if the Bucs would do that, but other teams would.
Yep.
I could see him taking that. And he's another guy who I like the talent, so it really doesn't matter where he lands. But in terms of ranking him, it will matter where he lands. I think wherever he goes, he's still talented enough to be decent, but it's really going to depend on where he goes.
Okay. Patriots have been rumored.
Would love that.
Chris Godwin is I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think they have the cap space, and they just spent a crap ton of money last year. I think the Patriots are more likely to get a wide receiver.
Didn't Aguilar? We paid $13 million a year for Aguilar, didn't we?
Yeah, but he's not reaching incentives. So
why can't we just save that $13 million?
It's more like a $10 million, $8 to $10 million deal.
Yeah, I guess so.
But anyway, New England is a part of one of the teams. Miami, another team that comes up in a lot of conversation. Indy needs a.
It's weird that Miami is heavily involved when they have Waddle and Parker already.
And to Rick's point, another team that could be interested in this, they do have some decent pieces in New York for the New York Jets. But if you really want to start taking Zach Wilson to the next level, I think the Jets would be an interesting landing spot because they can pay him, and he doesn't really care about winning it. He might not care about winning a Super Bowl. So they have the ability to bring him in, most likely, on a $17.5 to $18 million contract, which I don't think would be a horrible landing spot if Zach Wilson ends up working out. But honestly, without Brady, I'm not hella excited about Chris Godwin either.
No, but he was a top 10 receiver with Winston. Now, that's Winston did throw like a gazillion passes that year. But again, I don't know if he needs like an elite quarterback. I would love him on the Pats. I think he would even be decent fantasy wise. You said the Dolphins. I don't like that as much. I feel like Waddle is they really want Waddle to be their 1A. And Godwin would kind of just be like the 1B sort of. I don't think he would have the same amount of target share. And what was the third team you meant? Did you mention a third team?
Yeah, Patriots,
Dolphins,
Dolphins and Jets.
Jets, all AFC East teams, huh? Yeah, same.
And Colts,
sort of the same thing.
The Colts too.
Oh, and the Colts.
They got
the Colts,
$69 million in cap space.
Carson Wentz is disgusting. The Jets is an interesting one. Zach Wilson would kind of, in theory, help him take that next step. I do like Elijah Moore a lot, as well as Corey Davis. I don't know the role that Godwin would play, like if you put him in the Jameson Crowder role in the offense,
right,
which is still definitely an upgrade.
Right.
But I don't know how well he would produce fantasy-wise. Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting. I actually think the Patriots of all those teams is probably the best spot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do not believe the Patriots have the ability to get him.
No, probably
somebody's
not.
going to overpay.
Yep. Like the Jets.
This says they have $60 million in cap space. The
Pats?
Yeah, that's not true. Oh,
rather
maybe
interesting.
That's expanded. I don't know. If they have that much money, go get them.
Yeah, go get him.
I'll take Chris Godwin.
Draft.
He does actually fit. Like
he does.
He's been playing in what is kind of the mimic Patriots offense in Tampa because Brady literally built the offense here. So, so I think
he's not like a true outside guy though.
He's not.
Do you feel like the Pats need a true outside guy though, or they just?
Yeah, I mean, he can do everything. He's kind of done. Everything. If you look at the reception perception charts from Matt Harmon, he pretty much has success on every route. So it's not like he's limited to inside or outside. He just is used as. He's not even used as a slot receiver in the Bucs offenses, which is what I thought they were going to utilize him for. He's not the down the field threat. What that would be Mike Evans.
Yeah.
But he doesn't play inside. He plays outside.
Okay.
So anyway, those are some interesting landing spots. I do think like if he goes to a team like New England or he goes to a team like I don't even know, Miami maybe. I think Miami's going to win 4 games. So I don't even like them. If he goes back to the Bucs, Brady comes back, that's obviously good for him. I think his fantasy value will not crater. If he goes to the Patriots, I think obviously there's nothing there, and it would become a good option for Mac Jones to safety valve. Anywhere else, unless it's like the Chiefs, I'm not excited about. Like I'm not going to be like, oh my God, go out and get Chris Godwin. Like he'll fall down the rankings unless he goes to the right team. So I would just keep an eye on that. As of right now, I feel like wherever his rank is in Dynasty or redraft, like it's just kind of hovering there until something happens.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on to the next guy. I'm going to say Allen Robinson. That's my next guy. I do like Mike Williams, but I think that's my next guy.
Okay.
The Bears already tagged Allen Robinson once, which means that the value of tagging him again is just going to be absurd. It would be smart for the Bears just to let him walk and go in a different direction. So I don't believe that Allen Robinson will be going back to the Chicago Bears. But I will say there's one spot that I think that he's going to end up going. I think there's a very good shot of it happening.
Okay,
I have no sources, but I think he's going to go to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh my!
He can play in that. Sammy Watkins role.
Yeah, he's a guy that I think he's done with bad quarterbacks. He's going to be a player that is going to try to go to Chiefs type of team, a Chargers, a team that has at least a decent quarterback and a good offense. So I could easily see that happening, and I'd be very sad if it did.
Yeah. So I think that's what's going to end up happening to Robinson. I hate to, like I said, I don't want to bring New England into a lot of situations, but he is, because of what happened this year and him not playing very well in his contract year. That's not even a contract year, it's just a franchise tag. But because he did not play well this year, he is slightly cheaper. I think New England could definitely be in on this guy. He's been, for some reason, I've seen for the last 2-3 years, like connections with him to New England, and I'm not sure why. But anyway, I don't think that happens, but I just see the Chiefs. I see him in a Chiefs uniform all over the place, and like I'm just like, yeah, he's gonna go there.
Hate it.
Yeah, I would freaking hate it too. You got guys like Mike Williams, who had a pretty good grade this year, played really well. I think he goes back to the Chargers. I don't think he's going anywhere. So I don't.
And that would kind of take the Chargers out of the wide receiver market if they keep him.
Yeah, I agree. So it's not, to me, even it's not worth mentioning, like Mike Williams in conversation. Like there's a chance if he hits the open market, I think that he could. I like Mike Williams, but he's like the old school, like big, tall, physical wide receiver that we don't see in the NFL anymore.
Yeah.
He doesn't have like a whole ton of speed. Like he's quick and he's fast as a wide receiver in the NFL, but he doesn't have a whole ton of speed. So it's like, I don't know how many teams would go out. I think if he was to leave there, he would actually fit pretty good with KC as well. In that same Sammy Watkins role. I'm serious. Like it's like he and Robinson fit perfectly there because it's the type of receiver that they are. But anyway, I think he's staying in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is going to do whatever they can to keep this guy.
Agreed.
So, and then Michael Gallup. There's not much money left for Dallas, so I think Gallup will be gone.
He's a player that I think would go to a team that could give him an opportunity to kind of shine. Whether that's like teams that could use like a number one. Yeah. We've already said the Patriots a gazillion times, but like the Saints, the Falcons, the Lions, they're not necessarily good teams, but they have a potential wide receiver one spot available where Gallup
where he
could
get that opportunity in a like let's say
or the Browns even.
Let's say Jameis the Famous stays in New Orleans.
Yeah,
and he signs with New Orleans. Where would you put him in redraft next year?
Maybe like a 5th round pick. I mean, Winston's good, but they don't throw the ball a lot. Even when they had Winston, like he was throwing the ball like 20, 25 times a game. They were trying to run the ball 20, 25 times, 25, 30 times a game. So I would definitely like him in that spot, but I still think he would be slightly limited, but he would be the go-to guy. And I mean, we forget Michael Thomas might be available in trade too in the offseason.
Thank you. So many moving pieces. It's gonna be a wacky offseason.
Even though he's coming off like 2 major foot surgeries and hasn't played a game in 2 years.
So AB ceases to amaze. And so right now, it's funny. PFF has his projected contract at 1 year, $4 million. And it's because every time you think he's gonna he was gonna be a free agent this offseason. And he had a really good season with the Bucs. He was shutting his mouth and just playing football. And, he could have gone into the market this year and actually gotten a pretty decent contract. But no, he ran off the field with his pads off. And
I was going to say, is this article is this list from before this happened? But it's not.
It's not. So there have been several teams that have reached out to AB. That whole situation has not deterred teams.
So crazy, man.
So I don't know. At this point, he's a 33-year-old receiver switching teams, and It's
like Deshaun Jackson, but he is better.
He's better than those guys, but I don't see any kind of fantasy value for my dynasty team. I hope he signs somewhere that I can trade him away
for a 4th round pick.
Yeah, for a 1st round pick, it's not gonna happen. I already tried. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know if you have any more thoughts on AB, but I think he's gonna sign with the team.
Somewhere to 1 year deal, probably.
I think he's gonna sign with the team. I just don't know who, and I don't really care. Unless it's
maybe like the Chiefs.
If it's the Chiefs or the Bills, he goes back to the Bills. That's like, I'm actually going to the Bills. A team that's actually a high profile, high powered offense. I could see that, but I don't.
The
Rams, yeah, that actually would be. He kind of plays exactly the same as
Especially
Odell.
If Odell leaves, yeah.
But you have Bob Woods coming back in the offseason, so I don't know. Yeah. AB fits places. I just don't see him as a massive fantasy relevant player anymore without Tom Brady. Right. Tom Brady just targeted him out the wazoo. So, Odell Beckham Jr. is available. I think he's going to get a 1 or 2 year deal, and have a pretty good chance of having some more success. But this is going to be the last one to kind of almost like a prove it deal.
I was going to say, I think he might. For his sake, at least, he should look for a longer term deal. I mean, he's old, so it's not going to be crazy long, but
I don't think
some security, like a 3 year deal.
Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to acquire a deal like that.
You think so? He's played really well, I think.
No, and in Los, to speak on this too. I say, I was talking to you about this earlier, and I said Odell's chances of going back to the Rams are not high. But he does seem to like it. He plays in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
that fits
it
his
does feel like a
market.
good match.
I don't know, man. It might be a good match for him.
It's just about money, I think. But if he stays, I mean, he's solid. Probably like for fantasy, he's like a high end flex option. He's better than what he was in the Browns.
Yeah.
Like remember how he would get drafted in the 7th round, and we're like, no. Now if he got drafted in the 7th round, it's like, okay, yeah, that's not bad.
Right.
So yeah, I think he could stay at the Rams. He's been rumored before in the past to go to the Saints. I don't think that makes sense now because I feel like at this point in Odell's career, he wants to be on a winning team and B have a good quarterback because he's just never had that until now. And he's playing much better with Stafford. So I think the Rams are a good spot for him, but if he leaves, it won't be. It'll be like the Chiefs
moving forward.
High end wide receiver 3, low end wide receiver 2.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair guesstimation. What, between 22 and like 26?
Yeah.
That's fair. No matter where he goes, I don't think, unless he goes to a team where he's the one. But people are obsessed with Odell Beckham.
Yeah, I know. He's going to get drafted no matter where he goes.
So, anyway. Juju is another guy that's available. We're going to go quickly through the next couple guys, but Juju is another guy that's available. He had an offer from the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs, and he opted to say, frick you guys, and go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not sure why. Honestly, I would have gone to either one of those football teams.
Especially the Chiefs.
And then that would have saved Rashad Bateman. But either way, this is another cheaper option once again for a team like New England. I think that he could fill he's a much better Jacoby Myers essentially at this point.
Yes.
So I think he would be good there. As far as the fantasy relevance, getting out of Pittsburgh is a number one. The first step to having fantasy relevance, because
what if Pittsburgh gets a good quarterback?
If they get a good quarterback, then go run right back there.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know that if Kenny Pickett ends up being the quarterback for Pittsburgh with Big Ben being done and
or just any rookie
or just another rookie. I
don't like it.
I feel like Kenny Pickett's a lock in my head, and I'm not sure why.
It's because he's Pittsburgh loves him, but they're picking at 19, 18. So he might not fall there. He might go a little higher.
But so Juju, I think wherever he may go, if he goes to Kansas City, because this is another those 3 wide receivers I talk about: Allen Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and who's the other guy?
Devonte Adams.
No, hold on. I mentioned another guy that might be interested in him. So it's A-Rob.
Oh, Godwin. Did you say Godwin?
No. I don't know what the other guy. But anyway, I think I could see Juju going to Kansas City.
It was AB.
It was AB. What was AB?
Yeah, about the Chiefs.
But anyway, so KC, I think he would actually go up in any location that he goes to. I feel like he gets an upgrade on where he was currently, because there was 3 wide receivers there, and he wasn't the favorite target with Big Ben. So I think anywhere he goes, wide receiver position wise, he'll get an upgrade, but I don't know how much.
Yeah. The problem is too, he has, when he was asked, I remember last year about oh, why didn't you take those deals and stuff? He says he said he wanted to be a Steeler. He loves the Steelers. He loves Pittsburgh, all that stuff. So if that hasn't changed, then he might stay with them. And unless they get a quarterback upgrade,
Juju is dead for fantasy.
It's kind of dead, yeah. But if he goes to another team, we'll see where it goes. I like the player. I think he's a good wide receiver, extremely good slot receiver. Kind of almost underrated because of how bad he's been in the last 2 years for fantasy wise. But 3 years ago, he was going in dynasty drafts in early second round. Was it his second year that he had 1,000 yards? With AB there, he's shown flashes of being really, really good. And a team can get him on a cheap deal, but the landing spot is going to be important with him.
For my for my sake, this next guy, Christian Kirk, hopefully he goes anywhere because I'd love for him to get an opportunity. He kind of reminds me of like the Tyler Boyd player in Cincinnati himself. He reminds me of himself in Arizona. So,
yeah,
he's a third wide receiver. I could see if Odell gets a bigger contract with another team. I could see the Rams.
He'd be a great fit with the Rams. Yeah, he would.
I could see the Rams. Very good wide receiver 3.
Very good deep ball threat.
And the plus side, I think, of leaving Arizona I think he would actually level up a little bit in opportunity, which means that, and I think that's what he's going to do because they went out and they got DeAndre Hopkins and they drafted Rondale Moore and they signed AJ Green and obviously their 4 wide receiver sets in Arizona are big, but I just don't know that there's opportunity for him there. I do think there's a good shot he does return to Arizona, but we'll have to see with that.
It's a possibility,
but
especially because AJ Green is probably gone, so they might keep Kirk and go Kirk Hopkins more next year.
Yeah, I agree. And then, unless you have any more thoughts on Christian Kirk,
no, I think it's.
And then give me your thoughts on DJ Chark.
Yeah, I like Chark. My guess is he's going to stay with the Jaguars.
Yeah, I agree.
It seemed like in the preseason he had a really good connection with Trevor Lawrence. First game of the season, first career touchdown for Lawrence was to DJ Chark, and then when Chark got hurt, Lawrence, the offense was bad with Chark anyway, so it didn't really matter, but it got even worse without it. He plays a good role with that team. If he leaves, he's someone who's sneaky underrated. I would love him on the Pats if they can get him, if they don't want to get any of the big fish guys as like a secondary choice. He's a guy who can play the outside. He's huge. He's kind of like Mike Williams in a way, but a little bit faster. I don't know if he's as reliable maybe as Mike Williams, but he's someone who has a lot of upside. He's still very young. I think he's only 24. He's going to be 25 this year. He is, though, coming off a major foot injury, and I think the year before, I want to say he tore his ACL or did something. So he's coming off 2 season-ending injuries in back-to-back years, which is a huge concern. It's kind of like Will Fuller. But if you can get him cheap, he's going to be a good player. And if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a good fantasy asset.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think landing spot for Chark is big, but a lot of these guys have, like, besides AB.
So, there's going to be players. All right, go ahead.
I was going to say, besides AB, I feel like all of these guys will have some form of wide receiver 2 or 3 upside. Obviously, Adams, wide receiver 1 upside. Chris Godwin, wide receiver 1 upside. But everyone else, it kind of depends on where they land and what the situation is. And obviously, as they happen, when free agency starts in March, we'll give you all the information. We'll give it all to you. But what were you going to say, Rick?
Right. Because I was just going to say, because there's going to be players, like I said, some of these teams, like the Lions, if the Jaguars lose DJ Chark, they're going to be in the market for a receiver. The Falcons are going to be in the market. The Browns, that might not be as bad of a situation. But like the Saints, if Winston, like we don't know their quarterback situation. There's rumors about the Jets and the Vikings as like third wide receivers. Like there's some teams here that aren't great teams that are looking for, especially the Falcons and Lions, I think are the 2 big ones. Mm-hmm. Where one of these big name guys might go to those teams and might really hurt their fantasy value. So it's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, I agree. Well, there you have it. Free agent wide receivers for the 2022 offseason as we jump into that time of year. We still got some time. We get the Super Bowl coming up. We still got some football left to watch. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Thursday, we got another mock draft. Please sure to check it out. See you later, guys.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.